With you, I would jump on my skin just to get you. Oh my God.
Hi, everybody. I love this song. I'm a little addicted.
If I never let you show, now I just want to know.
Hi, everybody. Where's everybody from? Who is in the house? Oh, there we go. Now I can see your chat. Yay! I'm so excited. I'll turn the music off. I wish I could keep the music on the whole time and have it be like this, kind of like we're sitting, we're sitting at a really like, I envision right now as sitting together, around a fire outside, having a cocktail if you want, or a coffee. I have coffee today. Look at this. I got these made. Actually, it's hard to see with the light. Oh, there we go. Crazy Possible Creation Academy. And guess what? It's got a unicorn on the other side. I just got this, my first cup of coffee with it. How does it get better than that? So we have Ohio, Maryland, a male unicorn. There's a male unicorn here. I'm so grateful for all the male unicorns that come to play. Andy, I don't think Andy's male. I think Andy is a female. If I know that, Andy from New Zealand. Jennifer Conley's from Chicago. Awesome. Switzerland. LA, Melbourne. Debbie in Melbourne. How does it get better? All right, you guys. So we'll just go ahead and get started. How in the world does it get better? From Tasmania! I want to go to Tasmania. It's so close to where I am. Eric in Utah, hi. Susan in Montana. Auckland, New Zealand, the UK. Claudia's in UK. John, Kansas on the map. Cool. Oh, how does it get better than that? Okay, you guys. So today we're talking about being a tall poppy and out creation. So this is such a fun topic, and kind of this, I think this, we'll just say it this way. My energy around this particular topic is a little bit more, how do I say this? I say a little bit more strong talk than it is, yay, what's possible? It's really like when you're out creating, when you're like being the tall poppy, and I'm going to talk about what a tall poppy is in a minute here. When you're being that, it's a little different conversation than, oh, let's have magic with money. It's like, no, like, are you actually here for something else on the planet that you haven't actually created yet? Are you here to create new realities on the well, not just on the planet, but in the universe? Are you here for something greater than this reality? And if you are, this is the conversation for you. If you're not, you can stay if you want to, and or not. So, but really this conversation is for people who know so much more is possible. We are aware that this reality is not our reality. We're aware that something else is possible. And this is what I'm going to talk about in the topics for this call or this chat is what it actually takes. So it's not like serious. I'm not going to get serious, but you might hear a little more strong talk than having magic with money, like the class that's going on right now, which, super fun. But this is about out creation. This is really about you out creating your reality. And it actually takes something to create your reality. This isn't just like, oh, it just happened. No, it's actually something, a totally different energy and a space and consciousness. So Sharon says, bring on the strong talk. Becca says, we can take it. Marsha says, let's do it. Okay, so you guys are ready. So I'm just going to trust that anybody who's not ready for this conversation, just, maybe watch this in a couple of years when you're ready for it. Or not, stay on the line. I don't care. Maybe you'll get some value from it, and I hope you do. So we are ready for it. So welcome everybody from around the world. I'm so excited. Like, this is literally one of my favorite conversations. We have coastal Maine. Because this is the conversation we have in Creation Academy. This is the conversation about out-creation. And it's not about competition. It's not about competing against other people and stuff like that. It's really about out-creating your reality and actually stepping into what you are aware of that's possible. And the cool thing is you don't have to know exactly what it looks like. You don't have to have a vision of it. All you have to do is actually know that more is possible. Right? So if you've been sort of trapped in this reality like I was, and we're going to talk a lot about that today of sort of what that looks like, and then, you want to actually bust through the glass ceiling of this reality and into being the tall poppy. And that's really what it is. In Australia, there's this, I actually want to take a drink of this water. Not just hold it. It's not a prop. Like, why am I holding this? In Australia, there's this whole thing. It's called the tall poppy syndrome. And the tall poppy syndrome basically is when somebody gets too big, too much, going beyond pretty much everybody else that's around. That's when people want to chop you down. They want to make you wrong. They want to hold you back. They want to do whatever they do, judge you, to hold you back. And then you get chopped down. And the interesting thing with the tall poppy syndrome is, that's what keeps everybody the same. That's what keeps everybody in line. But it's a really nasty sort of energy of like, you really can't go for what you know is possible. Come back down here. And that's kind of behind everything else. And a lot of times it's masked by caring. It's masked by, you really, you need to stay with us and stuff like that. Andy says it's in New Zealand too. It's really everywhere in the world. It just might be called something different. But I like the tall poppy because you see those pictures of like these poppies that just go for it. And it's like, if you just went for it, like, what does it actually take to outcreate the people that don't want you to outcreate this reality that doesn't want you to, that wants you to all be the same? For example, in the US, there was an article that just came out the other day of this guy that was exposing NASA for putting lithium in the air. They were doing it through chemtrails. And this is a guy who worked on the little units that was distributing the lithium into the air from the airplanes. And that's what those chemtrails are, those long trails. Those are not natural from airplanes. They are chemicals being put into the air. And you can research that all you want. Some people say it's a conspiracy theory, but now people are coming out and saying, yeah, we were actually doing that. So the lithium is, and they had talked about it in this article I read of like how they want, if you have such a big population, you need to control them. Okay. And what we're going to talk about today is actually going beyond the control and what it takes, whether it's the control of your family, your culture, your lineage, your immediate family, or maybe your parents and grandparents and stuff like that, and also society. But that's all this reality, what we call this reality. That's the constructs. It's all the stuff that, if you're anything like me, you're like, why is that like that? That seems insane. I don't understand why that even exists. There's a lot of things in the world right now that are like that, where you're just like, how did that get created? Because that is not a contribution to anybody except maybe 3 people, right? So if that's where your awareness is that this reality is pretty backwards, and you're aware that so much more is possible, you are in the right place, my friends. And what's really cool is I know a lot of you on the calls or on the line so far. So how does it get better than that? Okay, so let's get to it. And the law too, Claudia says. Don't forget that, the law of how you're supposed to behave. Okay, so here's the thing. Wherever you are right now, no matter how many poo pies, like I like to call them, you've created for yourself that you've been living in, no matter how old you are, no matter any of that, if you know more is possible for you, then it is possible. It is. Now, you probably wouldn't be on this call today if you didn't know more is possible. You would probably be thinking, oh, she's full of crap, she's a shyster, or she's just, I don't know, selling snake oil or something like that. But my belief is that if you know more is possible, it actually is. Okay. So now the question is, what's it going to take to actually create that? Right now, I'm Cory Michelle, if I didn't say that before, and I've known that I was here for something greater since I was about 21, I think it was. And I started going to personal development classes and stuff like that. And I knew that since I was a teenager that this reality was insane. This reality was pretty messed up in my point of view as a teenager, that the way the government worked and the way healthcare worked and the way religion worked and the way all that kind of stuff worked, I was just like, did I land on the wrong planet? Like, this isn't where I like why does all this really a lot of confusion in my teens, which created a lot of frustration and anger in my teenage years. And when I found personal growth work, that's when I started going, oh, wait a second. All of that, this reality sort of stuff, there's a whole other way to be. And I started diving in. I started diving into, hey, wait a second. What are we creating? Our point of view is creating our reality. So if my point of view is creating my reality, then how do I get out of that reality and into creating something totally different? And I remember, you guys, excuse me, it's winter here, even though the trees, like the leaves don't fall off of the trees here. It's a little bit chilly, but I'm not hoping for snow or anything like that. Anyway, yeah, Erica says, I've wondered what's the point of all of this since I was like age 3, still wondering. Yeah, exactly. So when I started really engaging in this, like, wait a second, what else is possible? I was aware of a few things that were true for me. One is I didn't want to go and get a job and have a job for 100 years, right? I knew I didn't want to do that. I knew that working sort of in an office, climbing the ladder, I just knew, and I don't know how I knew, I just knew that wasn't my life. That wasn't the life I was going to live. And so when I graduated from college, I graduated with a degree in speech pathology and audiology. And with that degree, there was basically two options in the system. One is you basically go work for a school or something like that, and you're a para assistant, which is basically working for $7 an hour after I just paid for this whole degree, right? And you're basically helping disabled kids go to the bathroom in class and taking care of their needs and things like that. So it was more of a caregiver than it was an actual speech pathologist sort of job. So what you had to do, that was one choice, is you go get a job like that, or you go get your master's degree, which was another 4 years plus another $70,000. And I looked at those two choices because, in this reality, there's like two choices, two, maybe 3 if you're lucky. Then I looked at both of those and I was like, no, that is not what I want to do, because that's not what I went to college for. Otherwise, I don't have to go to college to do all of that. And then to do more schooling, I hated school. I hated school so much. And I did the bare minimum. And I was like, if I'm going to go to school for something, I'm going to go to school for something that I really want to do. And I'm not really even clear that I want to do this speech pathology thing. So instead, I was presented with an opportunity, a possibility really, to get on board with an MLM and sell vitamins and nutrition. And so I did that for a few years. And in that possibility, I was exposed to a whole new world, right? Because I had, go get a job for $7 an hour that you don't want to, or go to more school and obtain all of this debt, or, hey, create your own reality. And if any of you guys know about the multi-level marketing, network marketing, direct sales industries, it really is about the possibility that's available. And so I got in there and I was like, wow, I could see all of this possibility. And I ended up and I just like to try stuff. I'm an experimenter at heart. And I ended up at I don't even remember what it was right now. I don't even remember how I got there, but I was sitting with my dad and it was this presentation on building a website and selling stuff from a website. So not in the MLM industry, something else I had stumbled upon. And I remember them showing us a picture of, and this was 20 years ago, right? Like almost 20 years ago, picture of somebody with a laptop on a beach and talking about this lifestyle of, being able to create your life and being able to create your business. And I remember in that moment going, I want that. I want to have the freedom. I want to have the money. I want to see this planet. I want to explore, and I want to know that I can create. Okay. Anybody else have that? Anybody else? You just know that like, maybe not the beach laptop lifestyle, but know that you want the freedom. You want to know that you can create whatever you got going on and beyond. And you want to know that you don't ever have to be limited by this reality's limitations. Yeah, so give me a big yes if that's where you're at. Yeah, Becca says, so grateful for MLMs showing the way to look at life. Yeah, now I'm not in really any MLMs now, but there was so much of a contribution that I got of seeing life a different way because I made that choice, because I took that leap, because I didn't go get a job and I chose that instead. And that was a big leap in that, back then, to actually choose that. All right, cool. Freedom, creation, and no limitations. Yes. All right, cool. So that's where I came from, and I made a lot of choices that were sort of always headed towards that. But my space, what I believed was possible, really for me, and all of my limitations kept me from actually having success, really in anything until I found the Access Tools, which was about 7 years ago, and I started this business. So even though I kept leaping, nothing really worked out like I wanted it to until I figured out a couple of things, which I'm going to share with you guys today. Yeah, Becca said I have no idea. I had no idea that anything other than 9 to 5 existed. Yeah, I got super lucky in that sense of creating that possibility for myself. Okay, so let's see here. I've got some notes that I'm looking at right now. So today's conversation is really about what it actually takes. Okay, like we talked about, what it actually takes to outcreate your reality. So first of all, how many of you guys have tried a bunch of different things? Whether it's sort of like me and you kept leaping, right? Or maybe it's also like me, where I had 12 years before Access of, so that's almost 19 years of personal growth work, consciousness work, spirituality work, metaphysics. I did everything from psychic readings, and the psychics told me, oh, you're going to have so much success, but never gave me any tools. I did tons of personal growth classes, which left me with more judgment. I did energy work, hypnosis, NLP, EFT, healings, books, mindset, conferences after conference after conference. I volunteered. I mean, I did everything I could get my hands on. And for me, I didn't get any of what I am going to share with you today from any of that. Funny thing, huh? I don't know how much I spent. I want to say it was about $100,000 in continuing to invest in myself. And the willingness to never give up, never give in, and never quit is strong within me. And that's where, when you are willing to never give in, never quit, never give up, you will pop through at some point. Now, hopefully today I can help make it a little easier. And then the invitation I have for you at the end of how to actually implement what we've been talking about could make it even more easier, with ease, however you want to say it. Cool? All right. Yeah, Ellen says 27 years in the metaphysical. Yeah. All right. So let's see. With 3 things we're going to talk about today is, 1 is the 3 things you need to have in your back pocket. 2 is the 1 thing to never be concerned with. And 3 is oh wait, I lost the 3rd one. Oh no, hold on a second. Oh, what matters most when out creating? I got my notes backwards here. So what matters most when out creating? Okay, so let's just start with number 1 is the 3 things you need to have in your back pocket. Okay, number 1 is tools that actually work for you. flat out. If something's not working for you, like say you're doing psychic reading and not giving psychic readings, but like receive them, you like go to every psychic. That's what I did. I went to like every psychic I possibly could, and it didn't actually change anything. That wasn't working for me. Is trusting somebody else's awareness over mine. That wasn't working for me. So tools that work for you, that create the space of change for you and empower you to actually choose greater and more dynamically. Okay. Two is you need to know what your priorities are. Okay. And most people that come into my world don't know what their priorities are. And I didn't either. I didn't know what my priorities were. I thought I knew what my priorities were, but there's a lot of confusion about what priorities are and how to function from them. It's kind of like the whole New Year's Eve phenomenon where you set it, or not New Year's Eve, New Year's resolution, where you set a resolution and it never happens, right? That's kind of how people function with priorities is, oh, I have this priority to make a lot of money, and then you're not. Well, what is that? So I actually have a class called The Art of Living Crazy Possible where we actually dive into that and get you congruent with your priorities. So we won't talk about that too much today of diving in. But what I do want to share with you is that, where I learned this conversation was from Gary Douglas. I was at a class, I think it was at a 7-day in Costa Rica, and he was talking about priorities. And he's like, okay, everybody write down your priorities. So I wrote mine down, and it was literally like consciousness and making a difference in the world and, like everybody being happy and stuff like that. Like, it's really where I was functioning from. And he says, okay, look at your list. And he says, so how many of you have money on your priority list? And I look, and I didn't have money on my priority list. And I just busted up laughing. So I was like, no wonder I don't have any money. It's not even a priority in my world. And seriously, in that moment, I was like, wow, I could see where everything I was choosing was nothing I was choosing or nothing that I had a priority about was having money. And what's interesting is when you're willing to have money, you literally have more choice. You have more possibility when you're willing to include money in your reality, right? When you're willing to actually create things that actually make you more money. So do you have money included in your priorities, right? Because a lot of times we have these good intentions, but we haven't actually included money in our realities. And money is two things. One, for our bodies, because if we didn't have a body, we wouldn't require money. And two is the money literally creates more choice. So the more money you have, the more choices you have. And when it popped in my head and I was like, oh, wait a second. If I'm excluding money from my reality and not making it a priority, then I'm excluding possibility. And that is not what I'm wanting to do. So in that moment, I said, money is a priority. All right, good. So I added it to my priority list. And I started creating from that space. I started asking, okay, not just from a fantasy of, oh, what would it take to have more money, but what can I create so I can have the money that creates the choices that I'd like to have in my life? And that's an outcreation. That was an outcreation of my reality. Because as many of you guys know that I had $150,000 of debt, but if you didn't know, I also created a bankruptcy before that. I did a lot of drugs, and there was this one moment where, actually, I'm going to tell you that story later. So anyway, the outcreation and willingness to have money, and it's not a fantasy. Your willingness to have money is actions. It is creation. And when you're willing to have more money than the people in your life, when you're willing to have more money than your family, when you're willing to have more money than your peers and colleagues, right? When you're willing to pay more taxes, when you're willing to know how money works, all right, and how to grow it, and you're willing to start asking for that, that's where the outcreation starts to happen in that space, okay? And that's not the only outcreation, but if we have bodies and we're on this planet, then that's a part of it, a big part of it. Okay. So need to know what your priorities are. And if you don't know and you need some help, then the Art of Living Crazy Possible class is awesome. Amazing at that. And I've got some coming up. You guys will get information about that later. It's not really what this particular call is about, but that's where you get really clear on your priorities. And when you get clear on your priorities, things change. Why? Because the universe, you're clear. You're clear with the universe on what you're asking for. And when you are clear on your priorities and you're congruent, the universe will deliver everything that you ask for. Everything. When you're not clear on your priorities and you're choosing against yourself, right? Or you don't have money included, for example, but you're asking for money, but it's not a priority, which is like conflictual, then the universe doesn't know what to deliver you, and it'll deliver you a whole bunch of other stuff that is probably not as great as it could be. Okay. Now, the third thing in this 3 things you need to have in your back pocket is willingness to choose past resistance. Beyond resistance, not past resistance, but beyond resistance. When you're willing to choose beyond resistance, then there is this whole new space. Okay. So how many of you guys come up against resistance and you go, oh, I don't wanna, oh, it doesn't feel comfortable, oh, and you like squirm and whine like a 5-year-old that doesn't want to eat their carrots. Okay. That's where a lot of us are functioning from when it comes to this energy of resistance. And man, the energy of resistance is misidentified a lot. Yeah, it says, yeah, it's really uncomfortable and fearful. So we make this resistance fearful. We make it like, oh my God, like I don't want to, I don't know if I can. We make up all these stories about why not, right? But that resistance is oftentimes what you've been asking for. The choice you've been asking for that you haven't been willing to choose yet. And if you don't untangle that for yourself, you will be choosing resistance like it's something to avoid. And it's not. Those things that you resist are some of the choices that will change everything for you. And when you're willing to go, oh, I'm so whiny about this, I don't want to, I got the case of the I don't want us, that's resistance. If you want to make up a lot of justifications, reasons why not, that's resistance. And you got to look at it and go, okay, I'm going to do it anyway. I don't care how freaking scared I am. I don't care how much of a fool I think I'm going to look at. I don't care how embarrassed I'm going to be if I totally fail, but I'm going for it anyway. I'm going to choose this anyway. And when you choose that, you literally step into out-creating your reality, because that resistance is put into place by you to keep you where you were before. That's what the resistance is. But most people misidentify it and think that the resistance is the place to stop. And if that's where you're functioning from, you've got it misidentified. So I did too. I mean, I resisted freaking everything. I was like, oh, I don't want to. And when I realized that every time that I actually chose through the resistance, everything changed. I was like, wait a second. The resistance is really valuable. The resistance is showing me where I'm not resonant yet, where I have a choice that is a big choice that I can go for, right? So you got to change the point of view on that. Okay, cool. So in when you're out creating, you got to do this for yourself. Like this is like a place where you commit to yourself to actually go through the resistance. Otherwise, you'll be resisting every choice that could be creating the success that you've been asking for. And it literally is. If you've been asking for stuff and then you're actually resisting choosing it, then you're not choosing to receive everything you're asking for. The universe is like, you asked for this, but now you're going to resist it and you're not going to choose it? Like, okay, but here it is. Yeah. Yeah, Sharon says, Wowzers, as soon as you said resistance, my mind focused on that clock, that it's not working. No, the clock's not working behind me. I overwhelm myself with options and indecisiveness that turns me into the 5-year-old. Yeah. Yeah. And we go, like a lot of times people go in the resistance that turns into this overwhelm, but could an infinite being be overwhelmed? That's just resistance. Those are the things, the mechanisms that you guys set yourself up with in order not to choose, in order to stay in the cycle, in order to keep yourself back with everybody else, right? So that's all that is. And what would it be like if you actually just chose? Go, choose, go. Procrastination, there's a lot of different things that procrastination is. But procrastination could be resistance, and all you have to do is ask, like, am I resisting something here? And a lot of times procrastination is choosing to prove that you can do it faster and more magically than otherwise. It's like a proving to yourself and creating the stress that creates as well. Overwhelm is resistance. Yeah, overwhelm is resistance, because what you're literally creating a shitstorm for yourself so that you can be in overwhelm, and then overwhelm is a priority. If you create overwhelm, if you create anxiety, if you create resistance or procrastination, then those are your priorities. Are those priorities going to contribute to you out creating your reality? You out creating your financial stuff, your financial reality? You out creating with the contribution you'd be in the world? No, they're not congruent. So that's why you have to get clear on what your priorities are. Okay, cool. Awesome. How does it get better than that? All right. So 2 is the thing to never be concerned with. Okay. So those 3 things were the tools. Have tools that work. If something's not working for you, stop. Stop doing it. Ask what will actually contribute to me here. Okay. What you need to know your priorities is 2, and the willingness to choose past resistance is 3. The 3 things to have in your back pocket. Okay, so number 2 is the one thing to never be concerned with. Okay, so how many of you guys are not willing to receive judgment? How many of you are not willing to actually receive the judgments of your family? How many of you are not willing to receive the judgments of your friends? Colleagues, people at work. Okay. Now, judgment is the thing that you never need to be concerned with, ever. Other people's judgments are none of your business. Okay. Literally none of your business. So when I first started Access, I was very much into community and bringing everybody along and let's do this together and unity and all that kind of stuff. And when I was creating my business, when I started the Access business, I had all these amazing ideas. I'm like, yeah, and here's what we can do, and we can all get together and collaborate and do these events, and then you go speak here and you bring people to these tasters that we do every week, and then you go speak over here and you bring people to the tasters, and then we'll do this expo and we'll bring these people here, and then we'll filter them into our classes. Well, my grand amazing idea, number one, nobody else was working on it except for me, so I was the only one doing work. I noticed that I was pulling people with me. And I was literally the only one that saw this, right, this possibility. And I looked at that as I'm doing all the work. And I was talking to Gary Douglas one day, and he said, Cory, it's like the thing that would contribute to the most right now to like really let go is this whole idea of community and bringing everybody with you. Not everybody wants to go where you want to go. Not everybody wants to go as fast as you want to go. You have to let them go. And I was like, what? I can let them go? Like, I don't have to bring them with me? I had this whole idea of like unity and like like literally you have to bring everybody with you. If you have a good idea, you have to include everybody in it and create with them. So anyway, I finally took him up on that possibility, and I said, okay, so what if I actually create for me and don't bring everybody else with me? I included them. They were always invited, but I stopped making them a part of my creation. And I went. And you know what happened is I went and they didn't. And their businesses stayed the same and mine went. And I started gaining momentum, and I started gaining people noticing me, and I was on podcasts, and I was on telesummits, and I started making money finally. And like my business started working. And that year I hit 100,000. So I hit over 6 figures revenue in my business that year. And that was the most I had ever made. It was also the first time I was willing to just go and not try to drag everybody with me. And so those things showed up. I started, being more and more of me. I started creating what was fun for me. And then I started hearing all these rumors about me. I started hearing all the judgments. I started hearing all the horrible things about me that in the past I would have completely not wanted to hear. I would have reacted to. I would have tried to go and fix it. I would have made them wrong. I would have made me wrong. I would have thought, well, maybe I should have brought them with me. Maybe I should have waited for them. And I remember hearing somebody was telling me about all this stuff that people were saying about me that I was kind of aware of the energy, but I didn't really know how vicious it was. And I remember sitting there and seeing two choices. I could choose to react to this. I could choose to defend myself. I could choose to contract, go and actually limit what I'm creating. Or I can choose to receive it. And I chose to receive it. And that was one of the best choices I made, because I literally had a very clear two choices. And each choice would have created a totally different reality for me. This one over here would have created contraction. I would have shut myself down. I would have stopped. I would have been concerned with these people that were backstabbing me, basically, because they were so-called my friends. They were nice to my face. And then they were saying all this stuff behind my back. And when I chose to say, oh, wow, thank you for showing me where you're functioning from, I'm going to keep going. And I realized, and I had heard it said a lot of different times, but it actually finally, I got it, of when you start out creating, their stuff comes up because you just went. And if they're not willing to go too, if they're willing to go, then you can leapfrog. If they're not willing to go, they'll separate from you, they'll judge you, they'll start rumors, they'll do whatever. But that doesn't have anything to do with you. None of it does. None of their judgments do. None of their criticism, none of their snide comments, none of that has anything to do with you. That's all them unwilling to actually go for it themselves. And you start being an energy that is different, that is uncomfortable for them. You start going for it and you start receiving more, and they don't like it because they haven't been willing to actually go there for themselves. Okay. And your concern, your level of concern about other people's judgments and points of view dictates how much you can outcreate your reality. If you're concerned, you will shrink. If you're not concerned, you have the choices to go. Okay. And that's really all there is to it. And so many people have been completely focused their whole entire life about, avoiding judgments of others. And that moment where you get that for yourself, that their judgments never meant anything, don't mean anything, and all judgments are lies anyways. So when you get that for yourself, there's a whole new world of possibility that shows up. And it's way better when you have no concern for everybody else's judgments. And what's funny is I had a friend of mine, actually one of my clients, who sent me an email, and she was working with this coach, and the coach asked her to send an email out and ask people in her life, what, how she was showing up for them, and all of this stuff, and basically asking me to judge her. And I sent her an email back and I said, I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to criticize you. I'm going to actually just acknowledge that you're amazing. And whatever you choose to expand your reality and create in your business is the right choice for you at any moment. So just go. And this reality is so focused on judgment and criticism, and let's look outside of ourselves to prove that we're doing it, to validate us, that we're doing a good job. And so many of us humanoids are focused on where's the validation for that I am doing it wrong, right? That I am not good enough, right? So yeah, so Claudia says, finally choosing differently. Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, it says I'm already seem to be distancing myself from friends that I've been trying to indoctrinate into my world. Yeah. And Gary is so fucking smart. Yes, he is very freaking aware of the things to say that'll literally change your reality, even if you don't want to hear them. So, okay. So the thing to never be concerned with is judgments. If you want to outcreate, you have to be willing to receive them, acknowledge where those people are functioning from, and keep going. Okay? Because if you're getting judged, if people are starting rumors about you, fuck yeah, that means you're out creating. Awesome. How does it get better than that? How truly does it get better than that? Give me a hell yeah for like going beyond all the judgments. All right. So he says, went through that last year. So over outside approvals, looking for my brightness in my future now. Exactly. Yeah. Then it's funny because this conversation right now in the world is so relevant and so important, in my opinion, that we are empowering people to know that they can trust themselves and to keep going. And the judgments, when we start going and being the tall poppies and go, okay, fine, you can cut me down all you want. I'm just going to regrow. Cut me down again. I'll just regrow. Cut me down again. I'll just regrow. Like that's where like knowing that you can create at any time is that space of so much potency for yourself. Like, all right, great, start some rumors. And you know what's really funny is that there's been a bunch of people that have come to me and said, you know what, I heard rumors about you and I bought into them. I believed them for a while. And then I realized that they weren't true because I got to know you. And I'm like, isn't that funny? And I had one gal, she's like, once I started receiving from you and stopped judging you, I started making more money. I'm like, I know, right? Isn't that funny how that works? So, how in the world does it get better than that? Okay, cool. All right, so number 3 is what matters most when out creating. Okay, now this is one that some people resist and some people embrace. And I resisted it for a long time. And what it is support and consistency. Support, my laugh is your favorite. How's it get better than that? Support and consistency. So having this a support system, and I like to call it the space of contribution, because it's that space of no judgment, that space of like you know people are like got your back. And in this reality, we think people have our backs and then they don't, right? Like how many times has that happened? Okay, cool. I'm just reading your comments here. So the space of contribution, the amount of people that will have your back in certain times and then not, and how how it changes on a dime, right? And sometimes it gets to the point where you think you're good and then it changes and then it seems like there's nobody, right? But choosing people who are contributing to you and you can contribute to them is my interesting point of view is that it's required. And it's required for me in my growth and my expansion, my out creation. Because there's times where I got to talk to somebody about things, or I have something come up, or whatever, and I got to have somebody that can actually hear me and facilitate stuff without judgment, without making me wrong, without holding on to it, and just be like, cool, that's where you're at. What else is possible now? And when you have that space with people, it's magical. Because nothing gets held on to. You know, you can be totally vulnerable and be like, I don't know where this messed up thing came from, but I got to clear it. I need some help looking at this. And when you are willing to be that vulnerable with people who've got your back, there's a whole new reality that can show up, and the change can happen so much faster. Okay, now the consistency is also a part of that. So if you're going up and down, I would actually say one of the symptoms of going up and down in your reality is you don't have the consistency in choosing that space of, okay, here's my space that I go to, And I'm like, yeah, okay, here's the energy, here's the energy, here's the energy. So it's just like, doing yoga. If you go to yoga once a month, you're going to feel like good after that yoga session for a few days, but all your muscles are going to go back. Consistently choosing the energy, consistently being supported, having that space of contribution literally changes your vibration. It changes the space that you function from. And putting yourself, and this is, you hear it all the time, surround yourself with people that live a life that you would like to be living, right? They say the 5 people you spend the most time with is you have a similar financial reality as they do, right? And it's not true for everybody, but a lot of it is you surround yourself with the people that you're resonant with. Now, if you want to break free from that, whatever that is, you need to surround yourself with people that are functioning where you want to be functioning from and step into that. If you keep hanging out with the same people, you're going to get the same stuff. Right? If you keep hanging around judgmental people that don't want you to outcreate yourself, you're going to have a lot harder time than somebody who goes, you know what, I'm going to surround myself with people who are going for it, who are saying yes to more possibility, who are using for me, it's the access tools, right? And actually having that space. It changes your molecular makeup. It changes the space in which you function from when you have that. It is important. And there was a couple years ago, actually it was more than a couple years ago, it's probably like 5 years ago now. After I had sort of out-created everybody, I realized I didn't have anybody that knew business and also knew the consciousness side at the same time. And I ended up talking to a business coach that had both. And as we were talking, I realized, wow, I haven't been willing to actually let anybody really contribute to me. And I haven't really been willing to be that vulnerable either. And so as we were talking, she asked me some questions and she presented a program, one of her masterminds. And I was like, wow, for me to actually step into that, I have to change a couple of things. Number one, I have to be willing to be vulnerable and allow people to contribute to me. And 2, I have to be willing to actually pay, pay for that. And it was out of my comfort zone. The amount of money that I was going to be paying every month was out of my comfort zone. And I was like, and I asked questions. I asked, if I choose this, what will my life be like in 5 years? And the energy was like, bah! I was like, okay, I would love to have that energy. And then I asked, will I make 10 times the money that I invest in this? And I got a whoa. And I was like, okay, I'm in. And I chose it. And it was one of the most uncomfortable choices I had ever made. And I didn't know how it was going to turn out. But what I knew to trust is when I asked that question and those energies showed up and I wanted those energies, I said yes to it. Okay. And that was huge for me. And I was freaked out. I wanted to quit a couple of times. And I was like, no, I'm not quitting. I'm going to keep going because I knew that if I kept going, that I would actually receive the energies that I was aware of when I asked those questions. So now, luckily, I got that epiphany, and that's how I function now, is no matter how scary it is, no matter how much I have to really change who I'm being, I go for it. When that energy is there, because that energy, if it's there, it's possible. If it's there, it's possible. Awesome. Let me look at your comments real quick here. Yeah, it is so good to have people around that can be that space for you. And it's not hold the space, it's be the space. It's be the space of no judgment and be the space of contribution. You can't hold space. Holding space doesn't exist. Hold space. Just do that. Hold space. People make up a lot of stuff about that, but we'll talk about that another time. So Sharon says, Cory, it's been your discussion on judgment that has assisted me in my choice to receive the judgments from my daughter. The hell 3 years from which has supported her victimhood have shown me my life. Yeah, exactly. It's always like a gift too. How does it get better than that? Okay, so here's the deal. I've given you guys the training of this talk, and now I want to move into how to implement it. So if you just wanted the training, great. I so freaking appreciate you guys. I so appreciate you joining me in anything that I'm creating and any way that I can contribute to. But now we're going to move into the implementation part. So you guys ready for some implementation? So great. Now that we have all this stuff, what now? What now? How do we freaking implement all of this? Right? Yeah, Steph says holding space. It's always made me laugh. It's like holding wind. One thing I appreciate you is the words, the appropriateness of words. I got that from Gary. I learned very quickly that I didn't know words. And so I started choosing. One of my priorities became actually knowing what the energy and the words that were coming out of my mouth. Because every word is casting a spell. It's literally creating an energy. So for what reason wouldn't you know the words that are coming out of your mouth that you're using? That's where I went with it for myself, and became really aware of the words I was using. Okay, cool. So let's move on. Okay, so if you are still here, awesome. Let's talk about implementation. What does it actually take to implement this and into your life? Okay, so we've got the tools that work for you. You need to know your priorities, the willingness to choose past resistance, not giving a F about judgments, and the willing, what's the last one again? I totally messed up my notes here. That last one, which is choosing the space that'll actually contribute to you. Okay. There we go. What matters when I was creating, right? There we go. Okay. So all right. Okay. So one of the things I did a couple of years ago was I invested in another program. So what I've done is I've kept myself around ever since I made that choice that I told you about a second ago. With that program, I saw the value of that, and I'm consistently in spaces that are a contribution to me. Ongoing, the consistency of that, the consistency of my choice, because I knew that before, like I was going up and down and up and down and up and down, and I was like, well, I'm not, there's other people I see that aren't going up and down. So what's it going to take for me to create that no, like it's like a quantum leap. Like I saw it from like, oh, going up, down over here. And then I'm like, no, I want to actually have that consistency for myself so I don't have to be on this roller coaster anymore. And that's what I was creating. So one of the things that it actually takes is investing in yourself, right? Not everything comes for free, and not every choice is easy. And one of the things I see a lot of people doing is we're using this, what would it take for it to show up with total ease? Well, total ease is a judgment. Because how much will you not choose if it's not total ease, right? Now, we have the Access mantra, which is all of life comes to me with ease, joy, and glory. Now, not every choice is easy, but when I choose the big stuff, there is an ease with it. Not comfortable necessarily, but there is an ease with it. Not easy and not total ease. Because when you're functioning from total ease, then how much do you have to exclude that's uncomfortable, that you want to procrastinate on, that you have to up level and actually create more money to do it, right? And that was where, like, every time I up level, I got to create more money to do it. I go, oh, I want that $25,000 program. I got to up level so I can choose that. And who do I need to be? What can I create? Who can I surround myself with to have that? And that's where the functioning comes from, the past of, well, I don't know, and like the doubt, to, no, I'm having that. What is possible? Which is two totally different realities to be functioning from. So if you want, consider eliminating total ease from your, unless it's for fun. Like, what would it take for ice cream to show up in my freezer with total ease? Like with fun. But when you're really asking the questions to create, the total ease is usually like a judgment. So then you can actually not choose the hard stuff. Because the thing is, like somebody asked, I went through yesterday, I went through all of your guys' questions for me. There were so many, and I obviously can't answer them all because I would just be answering questions the whole time. But one of them was, oh shoot, did I forget it already? Oh, I don't even remember what I was going to say about that. Well, a lot of them had to do with like the how. Like, how do you do this? How did I do this? Well, I'm telling you right now the how. Like, it's really just choosing differently, being willing to go beyond and having that space of contribution for yourself. Okay. How many of you guys have space of contribution? How many of you guys have people who don't judge you in your life? Thanks for being here, Karen. Bye. All right, we're probably going to go just about another 10, 15 minutes max, just so you guys know. Okay, so whether you guys have people in reality or not that are that space of no judgment, here's the next question. Do you have people in your life that can contribute to you up-leveling everything? That can contribute to you having quantum leaps in your life? That can contribute to you having a totally different reality in the next year? Do you have those people in your life? Okay. Now, that's what we're going to talk about next. We're going to talk about choices, and we're going to talk about that space that invites you to up level, up level, up level, up level, make those big choices with more ease. Okay. Cool. All right. Some of you guys do have those people. Some of you guys don't. Okay. So the thing that has people choose the roller coaster and what I was doing to small increments where we have like, oh, look, little bit, little bit, little bit, little bit, is their willingness to follow the energy and ask and take action. Okay. Your willingness to follow the energy no matter what, and your willingness to take the actions no matter what. So this is beyond the resistance. This is beyond judgment. This is beyond all of that stuff and into you knowing that you can create anything at any time. Okay. And that's it. Follow the energy, ask a question, get an energy, choose it, take an action. Okay. And how many of you guys ask a question, you get a light, expansive energy, you're like, whoa, that would be amazing, and then you don't choose it? Happens a lot. Happens a lot, and a lot more than people would really like to acknowledge that it's going on. Okay. So when you're doing that, okay, so let's just look at it. So if you look at something going on in your world, actually, let's just look at the Creation Academy. So I'm going to go backwards that I thought I was going to go. And I'm not going to give you much information at all about this. What I want you to do is actually just look at the energy of it. So I've got the Creation Academy, which is a year-long program. And it is a space of contribution. It's a space of no judgment, and it's a space of that out creation as well as up level, quantum leaps, jumping tracks. And that is what every person that was in the last year's program that just completed has said, that their life is totally different. And the things that they were asking for a year ago are actually real in their life now. So it's like all the things that you've been asking for that haven't really shown up in your life, what if they actually could in a year? Would you be willing to choose it? Okay. So Brandy just put up the Crazy Possible Creation Academy link that you can check out. But for right now, what I want to ask you a question. Don't quite go there yet. I want to ask you a question. So I want you to tune in to the energy for you. Okay. So just get the energy of the Creation Academy without any details. We don't need details to check the energy on something. And ask a question. If you chose the Creation Academy, what would your life be like in 5 years? And post in the chat. What would it be like? Is that light and expansive? Is it heavy and contractive? Would the Creation Academy, choosing the Creation Academy, contribute to you having everything you're asking for? Oh, so Linda said she got excitement and then fear. So would choosing the Creation Academy create everything that you've been asking for? Light and expansive, light. Okay. Just notice the energy that's coming up. Okay. Yes, it will. Giggly, tearful tingles, light and expansive and happy, light and exciting. Okay, great. So when you ask a question like that with anything and you get that, okay, good. Now, what a phrase, I love it. That energy, if you would like to have that energy in your reality, like as your life, then that's a choice that will create more of that for you. Okay? That is the choice that, or not the only choice, but that is a choice that will create that. Okay? Now, if you've been asking for that energy, then there's a choice you make. You either choose it or you don't. Okay? Now, take out the Creation Academy and just to say this is a choice that you're asking about in general of your life, okay? If you choose it, you already got the awareness. You already actually tapped into your future of, if you choose it, the energy that it'll create, okay? If you don't choose it, you are choosing against that possibility. And this is the thing that people don't say. If you ask the question, you get that awareness. Now, it doesn't mean you have to choose it, but if you make up reasons why not, why you can't, if you make up excuses, you are choosing against what you just said that you would like to have. Here's the strong talk, right? Whatever choice you're putting in there, you're choosing against what you just said you'd like to have. When you make up a reason, when you make money the reason, when you make up an excuse, when you make up time, when you exclude yourself from the possibility. Okay? That is choosing against what you just became aware of. Okay? Now, is it bad? No. It's just choosing against what you just asked, the awareness you just asked for. Now, are there other possibilities? Probably, to create that, right? But when you make up reasons why you can't have it, you're choosing against it. That's what holds your current reality in place, is every awareness that you get that would expand your future when you don't choose it. A lot of you guys have this tool, of what would this choice create? And we go, oh, yeah, that would create. And then we ignore it. We don't choose it. We make it wrong. We can't do it because we make an excuse. And every excuse you make for not choosing the energy that you just asked for is literally solidifying your current reality into place. If you're going to outcreate anything, you have to be willing to stop your excuses and choose it and go for it anyway. Choose beyond any limitation that you think you have. Choose beyond time. Choose beyond money. Because money excuses and time excuses are just excuses. You have access to creating, because ask and receive actually works. So when you go for that light, expansive energy, you actually have the possibility of the universe contributing to you. You actually step into receiving what you just asked for. And all the support shows up for that when you fully go for it. When you kind of put a foot in and then you doubt yourself and I don't know if I can do it and I don't know, make those excuses, that's where the universe goes, well, I can't actually support you if you're not all the way in. I can't actually contribute to you if you're not actually willing to receive it. Because so much of the time, what you're asking for is everywhere already. A lot of it's already there. But because you're not willing to actually choose it, it can't show up for you. Isn't that funny? Now, I've seen this for myself over and over and over and over and over again. Over and over. When I jump, when it's that light expansiveness, the universe supports me. Magic happens. That's where the magic is. The magic is not in your excuses. The magic is not in your reasons why not. Your magic is not in the resistance. And if you're somebody who wants to outcreate and you happen to be because you're here, then this is the thing to implement. now is choosing based on the energy, not based on the reasons, not based on your mind, not based on the fear, not based on your husbands or your wives or your families. Okay? But based on the energy. Okay. So let me, I'm afraid of change. Is that stupid? Linda, I would say that's actually not your fear. I would ask, who does that belong to? Okay. So, okay. I'm just reading your comments here. What would it take for me to really choose for me and create the money to have it? When you do choose for you, the money shows up because you won't stop. You won't stop at anything. You're like, I need $5,000 more. What's it going to take? And then all of a sudden an idea comes and you will have it. Otherwise, the ideas are coming or the possibilities are coming or the whatever is coming, but you won't ever choose it. You know, a lot of times us humanoids are funny. When you make the big choices is when you start making choosing the awarenesses that actually create the possibilities. When we're playing small, then it never shows up because we're over here. Okay. All right. So here's the deal, you guys. I'm going to ask you 2 questions, and I want you to follow your awareness. This is an invitation for you to follow your awareness. And one of them I already asked you. So Creation Academy, and I'm not going to tell you too much about it because you can go to, Brandy, will you put up the site again? You can go to this webpage and you can find out a little more about the energy. And I've done this in a very specific way because this program, the Creation Academy, is about awareness training. It's about trusting you, it's about trusting the energy, and it's about willingness to go for it. This program is not for everybody. And you'll know. You'll just know if it's for you. If you really want to actually outcreate and trust yourself, then this program can support you in that, can be that space of contribution for you. If you're not willing to, the program will be absolutely miserable for you, and I might kick you out. I say that in jest, sort of. Okay, so here's the 2 questions. 1, if you chose the Creation Academy, what will your life be like in 5 years? Actually, I'm going to ask you 3 questions. Okay, so we already got the energy of that one. Now, if you chose the Creation Academy, would it contribute to you having everything you're asking for right now? My whole body's like, ah! Okay, get the energy on that. And then if you chose the Creation Academy, let's just ask this question. Would you make your investment back times 10? Okay. So if those are yeses for you, and if you're willing to make an investment back, how many of you guys are actually willing to have whatever you choose, whatever you invest in, actually make you money? And not just with money, but also with energy and everything else that shows up in your world. Because it's not just money. Make your investment back by times 10. What if you start functioning like that? How much more could you receive? Anyway, I started doing that, and it's totally different reality. So here's the deal. There's the page, which is crazypossibleliving.com/creation-academy. Click over there. There's a short video. I want you to watch the video. And then below that video is the testimonials from this last year's participants. I want you to watch that. And I want you to get the energy of what they created, the space that they created for themselves. And then if you're like, okay, this might be so freaking scary, but I want to find out more, click the button below. It's going to take you to the next page, and there's a video about who this program is for, a little bit more details, okay? And please watch that video. And then if you're like, okay, I want to talk to you about this, and you're not even committing to it, it's really just a conversation because this is an application program, because it isn't for everybody. This program is not for everybody right now. Now, if you want to go for it now and you want to have a conversation, it's a $250 deposit to talk to me about it. And that actually shows that you're actually like not just getting me on the phone because you want to chat with me about things. This is like you saying, hey, I want to engage in this possibility. What is possible? And that second page will show you all about that. Okay. Now I have, I think it's like 11 or 12 appointments available in the next few days. So if you want to chat about this, let's get you in and let's start talking about it. Let's actually engage in the energy and see what's possible for you. And then we'll go over all the details and stuff after, if you're somebody who wants to do that. But what I want to do is actually invite you to choose based on the energy, not based on your mind, not based on the details, not based on what you can judge. Oh, I can do that. I can't do that. Is it going to be this? Everybody always asks, oh, how many people are going to be in it? Oh, that's enough people. That's too many people. That's too small of a group, whatever. And then they judge it. What I want you to do is actually just make each choice based on the expansiveness of the energy, not based on everything you'll judge and separate from, okay? And that's why I've set it up. We only have 10 now, 10 spots. So that's my invitation to you, because that's the whole basis of the program. Is you willing to not separate, to not judge, can you do it or not, but to actually say yes to the energy that you would like to have in your life over and over and over and over and over again, and watch the universe rearrange for you. And you start trusting that you can create anything at any time. Okay. So come play, come engage, or not. Whatever you choose, I'm so grateful to have you in my space and creating with you and contributing both ways, because you guys are a contribution to me too. And if Creation Academy has been calling you, or this space and everything we've been talking about, and if you're ready to outcreate, talk to me. Let's have a conversation, and let's see what is possible beyond anything that you could possibly imagine. So anyway, I'm excited to chat. So anybody that is knowing that they're wanting in to chat with me, let me know. And what else is possible? How does it get better? And if you come to the Creation Academy, you'll get one of these. You know what else you'll get? This is one thing. And we have magic camp in Creation Academy too. 5 days in a tropical place where we actually work on instant actualization. Instant actualization. So I just created these, right? And then I have this little notebook. It's like a pad of paper that I just got. And then at our San Diego retreat in August, this is what everybody gets. Oh yeah. Check that out. It's like the Magical Unicorn Club. It still smells like the plant. Yeah, I'm so excited. On the inside of this, it has your crazy possible priorities and your targets, because that's what we work on in the class, is getting you really clear on those. So we put them in here. So you're like, I got my notebook, I got my possibilities, and then in the back, it has questions to create. I've been wanting to create a notebook for so long, and I finally did it, and now it's for the Creation Academy. I'm so excited. I know Brandy's so excited. We've been talking about these. Yeah. And I'm really excited about this too, like to have Notepad with like crazy possible and unicorns on them everywhere. I got some really cool ideas. So anyway, I like giving you guys goodies, and we'll all be sitting around during classes drinking from our unicorn mugs. The date in August in San Diego is the 16th, 17th, and 18th of August, and then 19th. So we do a 3-day retreat called the CEO of Your Reality, being the CEO of your reality. And then on that Saturday, we're adventuring. I've got some really cool stuff planned where we're going to actually be like tapping into opulence, luxury, gold, diamonds, and stuff like that, and also like an adventure thing. It's really cool. And then the CEO of Your Reality class is really that space of, okay, if you were the CEO of your multi-million-dollar business, what would you choose? Who would you be? What would you choose? What would you choose if you were the CEO of your $1 million business? Totally different energy. If you're the CEO of your $1 million business, would you consider coming and play with me in the Creation Academy? Yeah. Okay, you guys, I'm going to go. I know a lot of you guys got to jump off, so I adore you. What else is crazy possible? And let's go outcreate this reality. I want to be surrounded by tall poppies. I want to be surrounded by freaking people who know that they're magic, who want to outcreate this reality and literally be that irresistible invitation for people to be creating something totally different on the planet. That's who I want to surround myself with. And that's what the Creation Academy is really for. So how does it get better? And what else is crazy possible? All right, you guys, we'll see you soon. And maybe I'll be chatting with you. Okay. Bye, you guys.